Okay, now we are going to Chapter 7, Childcare, Meeting the Needs of Children and Families. Okay, so what's childcare? Childcare is the comprehensive out-of-home care and education of children that supplements the care and education of children that children receive from their own families. Early childhood professionals advocate and work for high quality, affordable, and accessible child care for all children and families. And this includes health and safety, services that meet children's physical, social, emotional, and intellectual and language needs, readiness programs to prepare children for school, and the collaboration with the families of the children. Now, there are different types of child cares, and we are going to go through them one by one. Okay, one type is relatives and friends. Children are cared for by grandparents, aunts, uncles, other relatives or friends, maybe a next door neighbor, providing both continuity and stability. There are many families, especially I know Latinos, that they tend to always use relatives or families to take care of their children. I know that when my mother worked, this was a long time ago, and there wasn't childcare the way we have today, but I remember my grandmother taking care of not just me, but my cousins. And I also remember my aunts taking care of me on the weekends. Another one is family child care, which is a non-relative individual caregiver providing care and education in their own home. So this would be maybe somebody in the neighborhood or somebody that is known, let's say, through church or some other way, where they are willing to take care of a small group of children in their home. And they may not spend a lot of time in the educational part of it, but they do provide care for the children in their home. The next one is intergenerational. This is where somebody that is considered elderly takes care. It's where a child is being taken care of with maybe somebody in an adult care facility. In other words, integrating, let's say, a grandparent type of adults with the children. Then there's the ones that many of you are most familiar with, center-based. This would be a center that is designed for the caring of children. Let's say at a church or a constructed center. I know here we have Excel, for example, which is found through much of eastern North Carolina. Employer sponsored. So this is maybe a company having a child care center aligned with the business so that employees can have their child taken care of right on the campus where they work. And many times, for example, parents can go and have lunch with their children, or they can observe what their children are doing through a camera that is attached to the center, and they can hook up and watch while they're working. The Department of Defense, they have their own way of providing childcare. I know some work in Jacksonville and work at the daycare center, and the Department of Defense is very specific about providing care for children of military personnel, where they have their own set of rules and knowing what their population needs and making sure it's being met. We also have before and after school care. I don't see a lot of this as much today as there used to be, but at least in public schools. I do know some centers here have after school care, specifically like the Y, but there are some centers that will provide, and I think Excel provides, I don't know about before, but I know that they provide after school care. Then there's proprietary care, which are run by corporation, businesses, or individuals for the purpose of a profit. And I think if I was in the classroom and I would ask how many work for Excel, I think you would tell me that that is a proprietary type of childcare. Okay, so, but it's not just childcare that we should care about. It's quality childcare, because if it's not quality, it's almost, it's like, why even send your child there except out of great need? So, what does it look like? For example, it should have a low staff to child ratio, primary caregiver assignments for each small group. There's continuity of care where the provider pretty much stays with the same group of kids until they're ready to go to kindergarten. There's a lot of communication with the families. There is emphasis on good nutrition and health. They take into consideration culture and language, and they implement this into the classroom. The teachers are very responsive to the children, and they provide a lot of warmth and care. And these are teachers who have an education and understand developmentally appropriate practices. Now, a lot of research has been done about child care and children, and this is one of the reasons why they come into thinking about the hours that children are in care, the type of care, how mothers feel about care, social, emotional, cognitive, and health-related child outcomes. So a lot of research is conducted to find out what is important, why, what are the results, what are the outcomes, and this is why a lot of changes come into childcare because of the research that has been conducted. Now, more and more accommodation of diverse learners needs to be taken or put in place. Children of diverse culture need to feel welcome, need to feel like they belong, because it's very difficult when they don't speak the language or not familiar with the culture, and you want them to feel comfortable. As well as children with special needs, you want to make sure that your classroom is set up in such a way to meet the needs of these children, to provide to them a quality education as best as can be given, and providing alternative ways of learning to meet their needs. Now, another question I would like you to answer, so you can put all this on one document when you submit it. You read in your chapter about challenging environments. What does this mean? And I wrote who, but how will you implement it in your classroom? So what does challenging environments mean, and how will you implement it in your classroom?